Good evening. I like to call the Monday, September 22nd, Common Council meeting to order. Clerk Toronto, I believe you'd like to make some comments regarding the length of this meeting and other expectations.
Good evening, members of the public. For audio quality, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default to maintain good audio quality for council members and yourselves. If you would like to speak during the meeting on a certain agenda item or during privilege of the floor, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so will be listed. We ask that you provide your full name, address, and topic you are speaking on, as those are required for speakers at in-person council meetings. If you would like to be called on during the meeting to provide public input, please insert the following into the chat and you will be called on during the relevant time for public input. My name is full name and I live at address, and I would like to speak on for or against agenda item. You will then be given 5 minutes to speak. Please be sure to unmute yourself prior to giving your remarks. Thank you so much.
All right, we also want to let you know that disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech or actions, as well as verbal attacks on any person, may result in the individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. At this time, for invocation, we have Pastor Eric Snyder from Fairlane Christian Church. Are you here?
All right.
All right. Please come to the podium and state your name, and we're going to all stand. Your name and address for the record, I'm sorry.
My name and address is Eric Snyder. I am at 936 Hickory Street in Niles, Michigan. So right over the border. Thank you for the opportunity, the invitation. Let's pray. Lord, we take a moment and we pause and come before you, standing in awe of how good you are, your power, your majesty, your love, they are unfailing. You continue to pour out blessings on our lives and surround us with your goodness. And Lord, we are so grateful for the place we live, for the people that you've surrounded us with. Lord, tonight, as we come into this space, it's a space of discussion and seek your hand in the betterment of the world that we live in the community that we find ourselves in. And so, Lord, we pray for your spirit to be here among us. We pray for your wisdom. We pray for life. We pray for good decisions to come. And Lord, we praise you for this opportunity that we have to have peaceful, civil dialogue and discourse as decisions are made. Lord, we thank you for all the voices who are at the table. And Lord, we have to acknowledge that we have these rights and privileges first and foremost because of what you have done for us through your son, Jesus. It is in his name we pray. Amen.
All right, Clerk Toronto, if you will, please give us a roll call.
Councilmember Good Rogers,
Present.
Councilmember McBride,
Present.
Councilmember Warner,
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Councilmember Nisgowsky,
Present.
Councilmember White,
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Present.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Present.
President Lee,
Present.
9 council members present.
All right, now we will hear a report from the Subcommittee on Minutes.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the September 8th, 2025 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. we got special business tonight. We are honoring the South Bend Police Department PAL program and celebrating the outstanding accomplishments of the PAL track athletes. Special Resolution 06-2025. A special resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, honoring the South Bend Police Department PAL program and celebrating the outstanding accomplishments of the PAL track athletes. Whereas the South Bend Police Department Police Athletic League, PAL, led by Captain David Herron, is a program dedicated to fostering positive relationships between youth and law enforcement through mentorship, discipline, and athletic excellence. Whereas in only its second year, the PAL track program has achieved remarkable success by developing young athletes who display commitment, perseverance, and outstanding character. And whereas through their hard work and discipline, 5 athletes from the South Bend PAL track team qualified for the 2025 Junior Olympics, a national accomplishment that brings pride and honor to the city of South Bend. Whereas these athletes trained under the strong leadership and mentorship of their coaches, led by Captain David Herron, Detective Georgia Wells, and through their dedication, they represented the city of South Bend on a national stage. Now, therefore, be it resolved by South Bend Common Council as following. Section 1, we hereby recognize and honor the following athletes and coaches of the South Bend PD PAL track program for their outstanding accomplishments. Athletes, Maurice Griffin Jr., if you're here, stand up. Joel Wells. Peyton Bradford. Tyree Washington. Yvonne Irons. Sponsors, Captain David Herring. Coaches, Detective Georgia Wells. Caleb Williams. Katia Woods. Savannah Newsom. Mark Lydell. Camille Lydell. Jaden Kimbrough. Melissa Delphi. And Clint Miller. Section 2. The South Bend Common Council commends the South Bend PAL program for all its continued support to our youth and congratulates the athletes for the remarkable achievements and encourage the community to support the continued growth for this impactful program. Approved the 22nd day of September. Kenneth J. Lee, Council President, First District. Ophelia Gooden Rogers, Second District Representative. Sharon L. McBride, Third District Representative. Troy Warner, Fourth District Representative. Sherry Bowden Simpson, Fifth District Representative. Sheila Niskowski, Sixth District Representative. Rachel Tomas Morgan, Vice President and At-Large Council Representative. Karen L. White, At-Large Council Representative. And Dr. Oliver J. Davis, At-Large Council Representative. Let's give them all a hand, everybody. Thank you. At this time, I'm gonna let you guys have a few words, and then council members, you'll be able to say words, encouragement, then we'll give you all your own copies of this resolution, and we'll take a picture. At this time,
Okay.
please state your name and address for the record.
Captain David Herron, South Bend Police, 701 West Sample Street. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Common Council for this wonderful award or recognition today. The PAL program, South Bend Police Athletic League, been around for well over 30 years. You know, we started off with a bucket of balls, you know, about 10 athletes. Now we have thousands of athletes that participate throughout the year. Our track program started last year. This is the second year. And I want to give special recognition to Detective Wells, who came to me with the idea to start the track program. We do everything we can to keep the kids engaged, the police officers, the parents. So I'm going to pass it over to Detective Wells. She was the workhorse behind this initiative. Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Detective Georgia Wells, South Bend Police Department, 701 West Sample. First and foremost, I just want to thank all the council members, everyone here, for acknowledging these tremendous kids, working with them the past 2 years. Most of them, either last year or this year was their first year doing track, period. And so they came every day, they worked hard, they put in the work, and it paid off. And they all got to compete down in Houston for the Junior Olympics. And I'm just so proud of them. And I'm so appreciative for all of you acknowledging them and celebrating the work that they put in. So thank you.
Kids want to say anything?
My name is Joel Wilson, and I thank you guys for celebrating us today. I miss when I went to Junior Olympics, I was excited because it was my first year, and I tried my best at the Junior Olympics.
Sweet.
Anybody else?
How y'all doing? My name is Arcadia Woods, at 1032 Wilbur Avenue. This is my first year coaching with the Power Program. I'm actually from Michigan City, Indiana. So one thing I do want to say is the types of activities that South Bend has for their kids, for the youth, the feeder programs that they have, that is something that Michigan City lacks, and I'm sure other cities do too. So I just wanted to give y'all flowers, honestly, for it, because it's so much for the kids to actually get into and actually keep them out of trouble, for real. I worked with the PAL program. I'm also a teacher. It's my 4th year in the school system here. So just seeing everything that is available for the kids and for the youth is honestly so uplifting and the breath of fresh air that I feel like we need, for real. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
My name is Zaire Washington. I am grateful for being here. I was excited when I went to the Junior Olympics, and I didn't make it to the final round, but I tried hard. I did my best, and that really all that matters.
Oh, wow.
My name is Caleb Williams. My address is 3102 Mishawaka Avenue. And this is my second year as a PAL coach. And it's been great just seeing how the kids come together and work hard throughout the season. And I want to personally congratulate them for all the hard work they put in and making it to the Junior Olympics.
Council members, we'll start on the end. Councilwoman Karen White.
Okay. I would just like to say thank you to Captain Herring and also Detective Wells and all others that have worked to bring this program to the point that it's at. I'm getting choked up because of looking at the kids, and the last statement was, I did my best. And so that, to the young people means so much, that when you do your best, you've done your best. And we're so proud of you We're so proud of you, not only participating, but coming up to the mic and just saying how you feel. So congratulations. I look forward to your next year. And who knows, we may be out there racing with you, okay? Congratulations once again.
Thank you. It was indeed an honor being a part of the resolution and also for you, Karen, for being a part of PAL. It's been a lot of years, and I've been a part of PAL with boxing for several years. And I know that working with the youth in the community and the police department, it is a great partnership. I know a lot of people talk about, the division between the communities and the police department, but getting the youth involved at an early age and having them to connect with the police and the police with our community, that is what makes great relationships and community. So thank you, young children, for the hard work that you've done. It is exciting to watch you and see you and representing our communities, and want to thank your parents as well for allowing you the opportunity to strive for excellence, and also for all of the coaches. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, President Lee. Wow, this is really tugs at your heart for me. And the PAL program, I mean, it's just a wonderful program. Talked about the boxing. I seen these little guys out there boxing, and now we know this is successful because these young ones come up and their hardware is just clanging, okay? Their hardware is clanging. So it's exciting to see them going to the Junior Olympics, representing us, and the PAL program bringing these young athletes to us here. And I know you guys are going to go somewhere else next year. We'll have to track that progress and see someday you could be a full-blown Olympian. So never give up that spirit, boy, because you're clanging now. You get to the Olympics, so you only need one medal. But anyway, thank you, and thank you to the parents, and again to the PAL program for bringing these young athletes to us. Congratulations.
You. I had the wonderful opportunity to attend a conference this summer at Notre Dame with Captain Herring and a team of coaches and leaders, athletes in the PAL program, and they shared how what the program meant to them and the impact that it's had on their lives. And it was just inspiring and made me proud to be a member of the audience there and to hear Captain Herring and the coaches and the athletes speak about how powerful this program is to their lives and to our community. And so thank you for your leadership, Captain Herring, and all the coaches for your role in this most important program in our city. And to our young athletes here, congratulations to you and to your parents. Today, you're representing Team South Bend, but in 2030 something, we look forward to you representing Team USA.
For Warner.
We got more hardware than Home Depot over there. That's very exciting. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Keep it up, guys, gals, coaches, athletes. This is just the start. We expect great things in the future in a lot of different ways. Thank you.
Dr. Oliver Davis.
Thank you, President Lee. Captain Herring, the person who would be very proud of you tonight, and that is Chief Daryl Boykins, because he mentored you to do these kind of programs, and you've carried on in his legacy. And so I very much appreciate hearing all of the hardware. It reminds me of Christmas times, and getting Christmas right here in September is wonderful. And so I just say, always do your best, and soon one day you will be ahead of all the rest. And so that's the way I appreciate all of you young people. I appreciate you, my old coworker, Detective Wells. I'm so proud of you. And so, Miss Yet Dickinson. And so, but we're glad to have you that you moved on up. to the east side. So we're cool. So thank you to all the parents. Thank you to all the coaches. And I'm glad you were able to take them down to Houston. Looking for where will be the championship next year? Do you know where it would be? It's going to be in Iowa? All righty. We're looking forward to see you heading to Iowa next year. So thank you.
Fifth District, Sherry Bolden Simpson.
Thank you, President Lee. Congratulations to you all. Do I have some 200-meter runners? All right now, all right, coming around that corner is hard, right? All right. Do they do long jump? Oh, yeah, okay. We are so proud of you. And to the staff, it's a notion to work with little ones. It's joy, it's a journey, it's hills, it's valleys, but at the end of the day, you love it, don't you? And we can tell. And we're so proud of you, young people, what you did, and take everything that you've learned, your perseverance, your, I'm not going to give up even when my legs hurt. Take that into the classroom. Take that, you follow the directions of your coach. Take that into the classroom also, and be great athletes and great students. And thank you for your smiling faces. You make my heart burst with joy. Thank you. Congratulations.
Second District, Ophelia Gooden Rogers.
Yay, second district. I would like to say congratulations to you little guys and girls, because you know what? I have a granddaughter that started at the PAL. She was up under the leadership of Chief Borkins, so he would be very proud of you, Captain Heron, and the rest of you for keeping this program going. You little guys and girls, let me tell you something. That program's going to take you a lot of places, okay? My granddaughter started there because she was the last of my grandchildren, and we didn't want her getting beat up at school, so we put her in there to learn boxing. Okay, so she learned how to box. But in the meantime, Chief Borkins found out that she played tennis. So he became her personal coach. And today she plays all around the state of Indiana in all kinds of tournaments. Captain Heron would not let her sit down. She got a little upset there because they got very close, her and Chief Borkins, and it really did hurt her when he left her. But Captain Heron, he came and stepped in and he took her. And now, like I say, she's a junior at St. Joe and she's doing wonderful. She plays for St. Joe. So this program is something you want to stay in and keep yourself encouraged. Like sometimes she would lose and get very upset, and you're going to do the same thing. But like you said, you're doing your best. When you done did your best, you done all you can do. But what you want to do is you want to always keep practicing, stay in God, and go for the future. The goal is one day yours. Congratulations.
And then I would just like to echo all the sentiments of what my council colleagues have said. To hear these little kids jingling there's nothing in me that wants to run around a track. Nothing. And so it takes a very special person. Troy runs, but there's nothing that makes me want to get on the track and run. So I admire you kids for doing something that I can't even do. And so again, to see you guys walking around with your medals, and Captain Heron, and thank you for looking out for our kids and watching over our kids with all of the different things that PAL does. And thank you, Detective Wells and Caleb. Thank you all. And I'm sorry, I can't remember your first name right now, but thank you too for being a coach. And this is what it's about. If we're going to ever mend relationships with our kids, I always say rebuke without relationship causes offense. And so when you don't know a person or you have not built a relationship with them, you can't ask them to be a better person. But when you've built a relationship with them, you can ask them to do anything and they'll run around the track and come back with medals around the neck. So we're very proud of you. So we're going to present you guys. You all get your own individual proclamation, resolutions to take home with you. And we're going to take a picture with you. And you guys are lucky tonight because we got the mayor in the building with us. So we're going to make him get in this picture with us. All right. Come on. I think the mayor's next. You never want to wait kids, right? Yeah. All right. See, condense it a little bit. All right, everybody, let's get down to business now. All right. What a wonderful way to start our meeting tonight. And now I will entertain a motion to be resolved to the committee of the whole.
So move.
Second.
On a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council's meeting where bills are given a second reading and a public hearing before a committee made up of all 9 council members. All bills set for this second reading and public hearing have previously been given a first reading and a committee hearing prior to this evening's meeting. In addition, we will hear from the chairperson of the standing committee where the bill was discussed and the results of that discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from staff member will be given. In all situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. The formal presentation shall be untimed. Immediately after the presentation, council members will have the opportunity to ask preliminary questions of the staff and presenters. Then the members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council about the bill before them. Following the public portion, the discussion shall then return to the council where the members of the council will debate, ask questions, and make motions on the bill under consideration. I remind all council members to respectfully address himself or herself to the chair to be recognized prior to speaking. When 2 or more council members seek recognition at once, the chair will name the member who shall speak first. A council member shall only be granted the right to speak a second time on the same question or issue after each council member has had an opportunity to first speak on said issue or question. Okay, we do have one bill tabled. Bill 4725 was tabled this afternoon until October 27th. So moving on to the next bill, Clerk Torado, will you please give Bill 5325 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 2, Article 1, Sections 2-12.1.15C and 2-12.1.17A to add the duty to review all law enforcement recordings relevant to any complaint filed with the Community Police Review Board to the duties of the Community Police Review Board respectfully.
Thank you. Councilmember Gooden Rogers, is there a committee report regarding Bill 5325?
Yes, Chair. We met this afternoon, the Community Relations Committee met this afternoon, and this bill come to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Presenters.
Sherry Bolden Simpson, 5th District Representative, 6216 Exeter Court, South Bend, Indiana, 46614.
Dr. Oliver Davis, 1801 Nash Street, South Bend, Indiana. I represent the whole city at large, and we are glad to be here.
So today we come before you to present Bill 5325, which we think is a formality to make things clear about what are the duties of the Community Police Review Board. We, during an earlier meeting on August 11th, it was passed that the members of the Community Police Board should be able to view certain video pertaining to complaints. And we have met with each other, Dr. Davis and I, and we met with Parliamentarian Palmer and fleshed out the language. And we think that we have things clear, and this will help the board members better execute their duties. And it is, the Indiana code really does allow people to view video, but we're just making it clear here.
As we continue to make it clear, we look at the first part of it where it says to review not all, but certain law enforcement recordings. And our attorney will explain that a little in a few minutes. And we go down to section 2.212.1.15, review board duties. The review shall, and it was good to put this in because even though a lot of people say, well, it's understood, it is not always understood, and it's caused some confusion. And while it may not be new, it may be new to a lot of people. And so therefore, we like to review all, instead of saying all, review the law enforcement recordings relevant to any complaint investigated by the Community Police Review Office consistent with the provisions of the Indiana Open Door Law. And the third change comes under section 2-12.1.17, review open office director and staff. So this goes to the director, and we add in a section number 3, and that is review law enforcement recordings relevant to any complaint investigated by the Community Police Review Office consistent with the provision of the Indiana Open Door Law. And I think this is very important, again, for clarity. So it will not just be the director, it would be cases that the director and the review board will be able to look at in their deliberations as they do their other duties, which I thought Councilwoman Bowden brought out earlier today. In order to do number 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and all the duties of the a director, which is 1, 2, and 4, you have to really include this number 2 because it helps the investigation to have a better understanding and to see what actually went on and to get a recommendation or should they advise us, send a note over to the merit board or whatever they should do with this open door law information that they have now found. I'd like for our attorney to explain 2 things, what this is all about, and in that part, talk about the open door law in your deliberations.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Bob Palmer with offices on the 4th floor of this building. When the original amendment was filed, the intent was to clarify that the review board director and review board members had the authority to review law enforcement recordings along with other public documents. And that was the language as intended. However, after the amendment was filed, it included words such as shall and all and any, which raised very serious concerns about the breadth of the ordinance. So Dr. Davis and Councilmember Bolden Simpson contacted me and wanted to clarify this to make sure that It did not mean in all cases, but simply clarify that it was that the council and the director had the authority to look at relevant law enforcement videos. So what we did was we made sure that the substituted ordinance explained that the council or the review board and the director already had that authority subject to the Indiana open door law. But because of the amount of mistaken impressions that appeared to be out there about who had authority to do what, the sponsors offered to substitute this bill to make it clear that the review board director and the review board members themselves had the authority to review any information consistent with the Indiana open door law.
Thank you so much. And I think all of this helps to really promote our efforts to help to legitimize and to strengthen our community review board in the community. And I'm glad to have heard from their testimony from their chairperson this afternoon, the speech that he gave that is on the record, that it was really important, and their attorney who will probably, and he's here tonight to speak too. So I think this helps to bring clarity, and I'm grateful for your consideration.
Just want to make a point that this is a living document and we have to change it in order to make it better, more clear, up to date with 2025. And that's just what we're doing, attempting to do this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, I would entertain a motion we do have a substitute, right?
That's
I would
correct.
entertain a motion to accept the substitute, which was filed and discussed both in committee and this afternoon.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the substitute. All those in favor at this time, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The substitute is accepted. Okay, council members, any preliminary questions from council members of the presenters? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the public hearing portion at this time. Members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council, beginning with members of the public in favor of the bill on the table, limited to 5 minutes each. And then following that, we will go on to members of the public against the bill on the table, again limited to 5 members each. The total time for those speaking against shall not be exceeded by the time the members used who spoke in favor, or 30 minutes, whichever is greater. Each member of the public shall state his or her name and residential address for the record. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5325? Good evening and welcome.
My name is Joseph Adams, 3400 Block High Street, South Bend, Indiana, and I am the chair of the review board. May I begin?
You may begin.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank you and the esteemed members of this council. If it pleases the chair, I'd like to provide some brief remarks and yield any remaining time that I have to our review board council. Mr. Chair, while I'm here to represent the review board as its current chair, I'd like to recognize and thank my own 5th district and 3 at-large councilors. I'd also like to thank the Common Council Chair, Kenneth Lee, for his leadership in navigating the many and sometimes conflicting interests, not only from amongst the council, but from outside of it, still to find a resolve for a stronger council that is in the best interest of its residents instead of any other entity. While all the work this council does when properly and regularly reviewed may prove worthwhile, this particular work will prove to be most valuable. This particular work transcends any political interest and deals directly with the foundational interest on which this country was built, a multi-branch government with appropriate checks and balances. During my time in service, us higher-ranking leaders performed the required and regular duty of checks and inspections, not just among those who reported to us, but on one another. Trust but verify, we said. While we trusted one another, we verified for ourselves. This ideal is ideal. The council in its wisdom created the review board both as a quasi-judicial and an oversight board as a check and balance, not in contempt of any other branch, but to verify the work that we trust to be done. And now, in your wisdom, this committee is seeking to empower that board with all that it needs to do its job. And this unmistakably empowers this council to do its job. I yield my time.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Chairman Warner, President Lee, Vice President Tomas Mergen, council members, clerk, Mr. Palmer, Mayor, Dr. Adams. My name is Bob Masters. I'm here in my professional capacity as the attorney for the Community Police Review Board. My offices are at 350 Columbia Street in South Bend. My personal residence is 1906 East Madison Street in South Bend. Whenever I speak publicly, I remind myself of Rudyard Kipling's famous advice to his son in his poem If, which is, don't look too good nor talk too wise. And I assure you that will not be a problem for me this evening. Our board met on Thursday of last week and unanimously resolved to approach the Common Council to ask that the council reaffirm its commitment to citizen oversight of policing by supporting the review board's access to law enforcement video records. As an attorney for public bodies, one of the most important tasks that I perform is to explain to the board its powers, but just as importantly, the limitations on those powers. And when I perform that analysis, I look at the letter of the law, a bill as it's written or an ordinance as it's presented in the municipal code, but I also look to the spirit of the law. And that's best found in the words of the legislators who passed that law. And so I'm so pleased to hear both earlier tonight and then in this meeting that it's the view of much of this council that the Citizens Police Review Board already has the ability to review law enforcement recordings. But I'd like to take a minute and tell you why I think it matters. If you've heard a police officer called a Bobby, it's not because of me and it's not because of your attorney, Bob Palmer. It's because of Sir Robert Peel, who was a British Prime Minister in the 19th century, but also is the founder of Scotland Yard. And Sir Peel had a philosophy on policing that is distilled to its essence. It's the doctrine of policing by consent. Or said differently, that police officers are our fellow citizens in uniform, who the vast majority of citizens who are non-police officers allow to police us. We do that because we trust our citizens who wear police uniforms. And Sir Peel said that that trust comes from three places: integrity, accountability, and transparency. Now, integrity is an internal thing. I trust that our police officers act with integrity. And if you needed a reminder, how about Captain Heron? My son played tennis with the Police Athletic League, and so it does not surprise me that he was here tonight and was rightfully lauded. But accountability and transparency are external factors. What the review board does is provides a means of citizen oversight to promote transparency and to promote accountability, and therefore to promote trust between citizens and our fellow citizens who wear police uniforms. And so I ask you to support this ordinance as a means of reaffirming the council's commitment to citizen oversight. And I wish to be clear about one thing. The review board is not asking for special powers. It's not asking that you give it powers that don't already belong to the citizenry. Any citizen can submit a public records request for law enforcement videos, and if it's disclosable, the citizen can view it or copy it. What this bill does is help guide our interpretation of the law in the future and make explicit what the council has said was the spirit of the law, that we do wish to have citizen oversight. And so we do wish the citizen members of our review board to use their powers that they have as citizens to review these videos. It's the kind of citizen and civilian oversight that promotes transparency and legitimacy in policing. On behalf of the review board, I encourage you to vote favorably on this bill, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have anyone else wishing to speak in favor of substitute bill 5325?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in favor at this time.
Do we have anyone wishing to speak against substitute bill 5325, either in person or online at this time?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition at this time.
Okay, thank you. With that, the public hearing is closed. We'll bring it back to council members. Any other questions? Comments? I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to move that we send bill, 5325 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Clerk Dorado, can you please do a roll call vote?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride. Aye. Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye, and thank you.
Councilmember White. Aye. Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 5325 will go forward with favorable recommendation. Clerk Dorado, at this time, can you please give second reading to bill 5425?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city services operations for the year 2025 of $2,237,538 from the general fund number 101-417,462 from the Parks and Recreation Fund number 201-257,800 from the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund number 202-115,000 from the Studebaker Oliver Revitalization Grants Fund number 209, $25,000 from the Gift Donation Bequest Fund number 217, $5,877 from the Central Services Fund number 222, $92,780 from the Human Rights Federal Grants Fund number 258, $67,234 from the Innovation and Technology Fund number 279, $2,267,453 from the Consolidated Building Department Fund number 600, $478,000 from the Parking Garages Fund number 601, $705,000 from the Waterworks Capital Fund number 622, $12,100 from the Sewer Repair Insurance Fund number 640, $310,000 from the Sewage Works Operations Fund number 641, $927,110 from the Century Center Operations Fund Number 670, $500,000 from the Century Center Capital Fund Number 671.
Thank you. Do we have a committee report regarding Bill 5425? Councilmember Nitzgotsky.
Yes, we do, Chair. 5325 was heard this afternoon in Personnel and Finance and was given a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Willis, would you like to do a presentation on our quarterly appropriations bill?
Sure. Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. Just some key appropriations here. Appropriation from Fire Department, the amount of $850,000. From Fund 101 for increase in $150,000 increase in drug costs for the EMS due to increased runs that they have, $300,000 in building and repair and maintenance costs, and $400,000 for auto repair and maintenance costs for their vehicle fleet and repair and increased costs for replacement of equipment. From Fund 201, $342,462 appropriation for increase of contractual services with the Venue Parks and Arts Department. Then there's also the out of Fund 601 parking garages, appropriation of $478,000 for additional repair and maintenance expenses related to the Layton parking garage. In last year's budget cycle, the garage was acquired after the budget has passed, so that fund or that expenses for that garage were under budget at that time. So we're just trying to capture that now.
Thank you. Council members, any preliminary questions regarding Bill 5425? Seeing none, we will go to the public hearing portion. Any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of the bill at this time, either in person or online?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak against Bill 5425, either in person or online at this time?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition of the bill.
Okay, bring it back to council members. Any follow-up questions, comments?
Entertain a motion to send Bill 54-25 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second. I have a motion and a second to send forward with a favorable. Clerk Toronto, can you please do a motion or a roll call vote on that favorable motion?
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Nitzgotsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. That will go forward with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, can you please give Bill 5525 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana for budget transfers for various departments within the City of South Bend, Indiana for the year 2025.
Thank you. And do we have a committee report?
Yes, we do, Chair. Bill 55-25 was heard in Personnel and Finance this afternoon and was given a favorable recommendation to the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Mr. Willis, would you like to present the quarterly budget transfers?
Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. We have just only a few of those, so just a couple of those here. Budget transfer in the Human Rights Division in the amount of $38,500. It's a transfer to cover office rental expenses and professional service costs. The other budget transfer was in the amount of $125,000. in the Controller's Office budget to cover professional services through the year end.
Thank you, sir. Council, any preliminary questions regarding Bill 5525? Quarterly transfers. Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
I asked this question in committee, but I thought it was worth, I was struck originally that we are transferring from personnel, employee benefits and health insurance to cover professional services, but I thought so could you just answer that question again? I thought it was worth repeating.
Sure, yes. As we discussed earlier today, where you saw the transfer from, I guess, fringe benefits to cover expenses, that's the fringe benefits is one of those areas where we've over budgeted in previous years. So that's where when you have a lot of additional budget, you can move some of those costs or that budget to cover other costs in that same division or department. And then obviously, as we've seen through the budget process, you've seen reductions in that line item for the various departments as we have a more realistic budget amount for those expenses.
Thank you, Mr. Willetts.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to the public hearing portion on Bill 5525. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5525, either in person or online?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public, either in person or online, wishing to speak against Bill 5525 at this time?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition of the bill.
Thank you. The public hearing on Bill 5525 is now closed. I'll bring it back to council. Any other questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'm going to clarify, would that be a motion for a favorable recommendation?
That's correct. Thank
Okay,
you. I like
we have a
that.
motion for a favorable and a second. Clerk Toronto, can you please do a roll call vote on that motion?
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. The quarterly transfers and 5525 will go forward with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, at this time, can you give Bill 5625 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, levying taxes and fixing the rate of taxation for the purpose of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of the civil city of South Bend for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and appropriating monies for the purpose of defraying the expenses of the City of South Bend, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2026, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time when the same shall take effect.
Thank you. Councilmember Nisgowsky, do we have a committee report?
Yes, we do, Chair. Bill 5625 was heard in Personal and Finance this afternoon and was given no recommendation to the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Just for procedural processes here, tonight is a presentation and public hearing only. State law requires a first initial presentation, and then the bill cannot be acted on or passed until the subsequent meeting. So there will be no action taken on the bill this evening, just a presentation and public hearing. So with that, we will go to a presenter. We will welcome Mr. Mayor. Good evening and welcome. And tell us about the budget for 2026.
All right. Well, good evening, council members. Mayor James Mueller with offices on the 14th floor of this building.
And we're dive right in here. I know there's been a full agenda and there's some more items that folks are wanting to get to, but this is an important matter before the city. And of course, with different changes at the state level, it's a especially important year to get on the right track and navigate our way through the next several years. So I don't know if the slide's ready to go. It was ready to go. All right. So this there've been 7 public meetings already in the committee, and this is the first meeting at the full council. And so the goal is to have a vote at the next meeting on October 13th. Of course, we're required by state law to pass a budget by the end of October. So that's our requirements and our goal. Moving forward, we look at what our goal, even though the mechanisms in which city government will receive revenue, our priorities have not changed. We still are committed to a safe community for everyone, vibrant infrastructure in our neighborhoods. You can go to the next slide if you youth and workforce development, and equitable access to opportunity, and strong neighborhoods. So our priorities don't change, even though the ways and the revenue that comes our way has differed significantly. Next slide, please. You've heard the Build the Budget came back this year and got community feedback, resident feedback on what they want to see and what are their most important priorities. If you go to the next slide, probably not a surprise to anybody in this room, but resurfacing, repairs for streets, neighborhood infrastructure, more housing of all types, and safe, reliable water and utility services emerged toward the top of this year's report. Next slide, please. So we go back, I shared this with the Personnel and Finance Committee in August, just kind of what is the context of where we're bringing this 2026 budget. Of course, inflation is unfortunately increasing again. The growth of our economy, since that meeting, we've seen that some of the employment numbers have been weaker than even previously thought. Stable interest rates, even though there was a slight cut by the Fed a week or so ago. So we're still seeing this inflation. We're still seeing upward pressures to be competitive for our employees. And because of that, the wages that were being sought to be competitive are rising faster than the growth of our revenue sources. The city's financial position, the SB 1, the Senate Enrolled Act 1, has substantially changed both property taxes for municipalities and other local governments, as well as in 3 years' time, income taxes. So basically, most of the funding sources that the city relies upon are having significant changes. We're going to need to make additional cuts, more than just those that we have proposed in this year's budget. And we'll need to continue to aggressively invest in growth, because that is our best way out of this situation we find ourselves in, is to continue to have more growth, more investment, and more tax base as a result of that. From a policy standpoint, it's well known that the federal government, after years of spending a lot of dollars, is pulling back a lot of dollars in grant programs. The state road formula continues to be tinkered with at the state level. But perhaps some bright news is there are discussions, the changes to the local income tax that were part of Senate Enrolled Act 1 weren't fully vetted before they passed out of the chamber and were signed into law. And so a lot of lawmakers are hearing from mayors, commissioners, and others across the state. And so there is some hope that they will, at the very least, delay some of those impacts that the income tax, because in many ways, while the changes to the property tax have an impact on us, it's the changes to income tax that not only could have a dramatic impact on us, more dramatic in some ways, but also the range in which that could impact us changes quite significantly. So next slide, please. So here is what the Legislative Service Agency projected to be the impacts to the South Bend's property tax revenues. And if you see the 2025, the purple is, basically the net levy that the city sees. And so to the civil city. And so you see 2025, if you go over to 2028 on the right, the farthest right-hand side, you see roughly they're about equal. So the Legislative Service Agency believes or projected that the property tax revenues would be roughly the same in 28 as it is this year in 2025. And the reason why this looks a little different than some other cities and counties is that it increases slightly, so not as fast as it would have increased without Senate Enrolled Act 1 for 26, 27. But the drop in 28 is due to the fact that the St. Joseph County has adopted a property tax relief income tax. So as part of the reform efforts that happened in the 2000s, cities and counties were able to, that's when the local income tax really came about here, or at least was expanded to the degree it is today. And so that was one of the abilities back then that the legislature and the previous governor provided cities and counties to replace the lost revenue from the income tax caps that were imposed. And so it's actually the income tax changes that are driving this property tax, the major loss in 2028. So if that were postponed for a number of years, that drop would also be postponed in subsequent years. Next slide, please. We've had Baker Tilly analyze, as I said, Legislative Services was not able to analyze the changes to income tax. They had the estimates for changes to the property tax, but they had not put out an analysis of income tax. So we have worked with Baker Tilly to see what that might mean, the new law. And so today, currently, St. Joseph County has a 1.75% local income tax rate effectively. And then that gets distributed to all the jurisdictions here within the county. Under the Senate Enrolled Act 1, that system will go away completely. And then there will be a new system proposed in which cities can impose a tax up to 1.2%. And then counties can also propose a tax up to 1.2%. The cities can only tax those within their city limits. The county taxes countywide. And then there are also the fire protection rate or EMS rate that can be anywhere from 0 to 0.4%. And there are a couple other things the county can do to impose a tax countywide. And so if everybody maxed out their local income tax, we could be up to 2.8 or 2.9%. That's if everybody maxed out. The challenge here too is today we receive a distribution of the countywide taxes occur, and then they get distributed based off various formulas. In this system, there's just the rate. The city only gets the rate that's imposed within the city. And then there is this fire protection rate that the city would get a portion of. And so, but we would be, unlike today, where there's a tax council, where the cities and the taxing units get to decide the countywide rate. This would be entirely up to the county what fire protection rate they would charge. So if they went to 0, we would see, the difference would be $15 million of revenue. If they went to the max of the fire protection rate, you'd see the full 15 million. But when you add the two, so on the left side, on the 3 left side bar graphs, the right blue line is what we receive today in 2025 in certified income tax revenues. And then the other two are estimates, different methodologies, are estimates for what we would achieve by the different municipal rates. So you see, even if we max out at 1.2%, we're still below what we receive today in income tax quite significantly. And so it really depends on, if we were to be kept roughly even on income tax, it would depend on the county deciding to be close to maxing out the fire protection income tax. And so go to the next slide, please. So basically, the impacts, the combined impacts of Senate Enrolled Act 1 is that, we could be receiving a reduction of property tax receipts by just less than $1 million, as Legislative Services have projected, to over $10 million, as Baker Tilly also did an analysis of property tax revenue. Income tax revenues also could be less or more. It depends on what the county decides to do with that EMS rate under current law, assuming there are no changes downstate. So in the end, what it means is city taxpayers will likely pay more for the same or lower service level. So going from 1.75% that every county resident pays today, and it gets distributed, to up to 2.9% in the city. So the city of South Bend and potentially the city of Mishawaka those residents could see significantly higher rates across the board. So again, legislators are reviewing this, and we hope that some of these flaws in the policy are worked through and at the very least postponed until we can understand the impacts better. Next slide, please. Next slide. So where does that bring us to today? So 2026 projected revenues, like I said, the credits coming from Senate Enrolled Act 1 on property tax will reduce the growth of our property taxes in the next couple of years, but it doesn't reduce it to zero. We're projected to still have an increase of here at 1.2% is the latest estimates from DLGF. Local income tax until 2028 haven't changed. So we're expected as wages and cost of living adjustments go into effect. We'll also expect to see an increase of local income taxes under the current system until that changes in 2028. Then there's the charges for services, donations, which donations also includes settlement dollars to help with PFAS, I believe, is that big number there. And then some other grants, revenues, and other income that totals, if you total that all up, $417 million. Next slide, too, please. So then the proposed spending here is, I know we've had some difficult conversations through those 7 public hearings on each department level. And so we came in with a goal to reduce our overall spending by 5% across the board. Obviously, we have not hit that by each department, but we have made progress toward that goal. It is something we'll show in a minute. We still need to be finding cuts, but I understand, given the concern about the cuts that have been proposed so far, we're going to continue to assess as we gain more information. And so here, the major reductions are not surprising. They're in the departments in which had seen major increases with federal dollars that had been available to us over the past several years. We've been talking about this for a few years now, that there will come a day, but this is before Senate Enrolled Act 1 ever happened, that there will come a day in which we'll need to, right-size our expenditures now that there are no longer these federal resources coming our way. So that's before Senate Enrolled Act 1 went into effect. And so you see here that the overall budget is proposed at $436 million that covers enterprise funds and the operational general plus funds. Next slide, please. So here are projections on where our cash balances will be with the proposed 2026 budget. And so as you see, even with the budget proposed, the general fund itself will have a variance or an additional $34 million above what our 50% of the expenditures in that fund require for reserve requirement. Similarly, there'll be $9 million more in the income tax funds, the economic development fund, than what would be required by the 50% operating expenses requirement. And then the other funds as well also have projected to have healthy balances at the end of 2026 with this proposed budget. Next slide, please. But nevertheless, there is a total deficit across the city of $18.6 million. And that's broken down in a few ways. If you look at the enterprise fund spend down of reserves, it's 18.1 million. So that's easy to say that we want to spend the proceeds that are meant for sewer and water capital. These capital funds are meant to be spent. There are no reserve requirements in capital funds because you either raise the revenue to spend them on the project, or they're dedicated toward this capital. So capital is literally meant to be spent on that capital. So no reserve requirements there. The general plus funds is the one that we're concerned about as we move forward, which includes the property tax and the income tax side of things. That's now at 10.1. When we talked in August, we were looking to get toward a fully no spend down of the reserve. But nevertheless, there have been a few things come up, not just including the uncertainty about revenue projections, both property and income tax. But also, if we don't have to go back to the slide, but when we talked in August, we had, I think, for example, Venue Parks and Arts had an increase of 4%. Well, we knew we needed to get that down, and we have gotten that down to -4 or 5%. But we hadn't included the budget transfer that's required to make the Parks Fund whole. And so when you add that in, you've also added some increased costs. The state's also throwing us, and this is not a legislative change, but it is a change from downstate, is the pension funds, the share at which the city has to pay into the pension funds for fire and police. They have increased that percentage. And so that's a couple $1 million as well between police and fire. And so this is, like I said, with this proposed budget, even with this, these numbers, we're still expected to have a reserve $34 million at the end of next year, in excess of what we would be required to hold for the reserve requirements. And we've talked about this through the past several years. You also know we don't spend every dollar that we budget for. Departments don't get to 100%. We underspend the budget often. So our budget, the way we budget, is not necessarily our best estimate, but the estimate where we don't have to come back to council if we fill all the positions for the entirety of the year. So for example, when there's turnover in departments and a position isn't filled for a period of time, that means that we've budgeted for every position being filled for all 12 months of the year. And so that's oftentimes a point of savings versus the budgeted number versus what we realize. There's also estimates in the past several years. We've seen these kind of spend down estimates of the reserve, and actually seen far less spend down, or sometimes even a surplus. And that's been due to both a lower spending level and unexpected increases of revenue. Go to the next slide, please. Well, it doesn't look like the history is coming up. If you hit the next, does it come up? There we go. So, this is what I was speaking about before, is in 2023, the budgeted spend down of the reserve was 13.1 million, and then the actual was 4.7. So a $9 million difference. In 2024, it was 16.1, and actually ended up with a surplus, a slight surplus, under $1 million that year. And so, and this year, similarly, we started at 13.4, and so far 4.3. So we'll see how that goes throughout this year. Of course, I would love to be back in August when we had a fully no spend down of the general plus funds before you. I think we would be in a very strong position if we could, work together to find another $3 or so million in the near term. But nevertheless, just like we've been doing, just like before Senate Enroll Act 1 ever was on our radar, what we were doing, the approach we were taking with the programs that had been plussed up from the federal dollars, we can continue to monitor this and see where we need to go. And so the two key data points for us are going to be, one, where is our cash balance at the end of this year? So how much are we realizing? How much of the budgeted piece are we actually realizing? And where does our cash position sit at the end of 2025? That's a key data point for us. And, you know, we can pivot based off of that. And really the first real estimate of what the impacts of Senate Enrolled Act 1 will be is when we get the June distribution next summer, where we see, you know, there's these models and they have very widely different projections. But once we start seeing what revenue is coming in, that will be, those models, both of those models will get a lot more accurate because now they'll have something to actually base it off of, as opposed to just trying their best to figure out all the different changes to the revenue. And so, you know, end of December, January timeline, that's a big moment for us, see where we are on cash position. And then next summer, when we get the first real idea of what the impacts will be on the property tax side. Slide, please. But, you know, the other piece of this is, you know, we could work to identify, you know, we could work to find the cuts, but the cuts at some point are going to need to be in our top priorities. So we've been spending above historic levels, well above historic levels on streets. And so we're still spending above historic levels on our streets. That's been shown to be a priority, not just of the council, not just of the administration, but also our community. And so we want to continue to do that for as long as possible. And then if there's a time where we do need to find other sources or other ways to make our streets the way we expect them to be, then that's a conversation we'll have down the road. Similarly, public safety, you know, we do not want to cut public safety unless we're forced to. And so those are the pieces in which are still in this budget, and we're hoping to delay any cuts to those for as long as possible. And so that's in a nutshell, is we're still able to move the priorities forward. We believe this still is in a strong position. We can pivot as we need to, as we get more information. But, you know, we need to be very cognizant of the fact that, you know, over the next several years, there will unlikely be any new dollars available to us. You know, this is where we are today. We're going to need to, you know, the growth has slowed down to extent because of Senate Enrolled Act 1. That we need to prepare to be in roughly this band for the next few years. Another data point that we'll have is if the legislature does decide to push off those income tax, that may buy us more time to adapt to these income tax changes. So that's the highlights of the 2026 budget before you, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, as I said before, tonight, there's no action. We will take action potentially in 3 weeks at our next meeting. And we will also have more in-depth and broader discussion then. So for this evening, I'm going to ask you to kind of one question or one comment. Please email questions and comments to Mr. Willis and the mayor and Mr. Scott. And as we move forward through the next 3 weeks to get things finalized, I'm going to start at this end. Councilmember Gooden Rogers, any one question or comment?
I'll mail mine in to Mr. Willis.
And as I said, we will have more discussion in 3 weeks. The bill will stay in committee of the whole until that time, and we'll have another discussion then. Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Likewise, I'm going to read over everything and digest some of it.
Dr. Davis.
Yes, I'm off. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Mayor. Regarding the Baker Tilly preliminary analysis, will the people of South Bend in that tax, will we be taxed twice in a sense? because we live in the city and then the county comes in, but the people in the county won't?
Correct. It's unlike the property where it goes back to kind of how property taxes worked before the tax caps. So jurisdictions can tax the same person and it adds up, as opposed to it adds up and then they're capped.
So
as a
a
whole.
lot of us, depending on how far the county goes, could definitely impact what we do here.
Correct.
Okay, and what kind of negotiations are, well, I follow up, well, kind of adding if you can, what are we doing to work with the county now so we can have a better understanding of what, I mean, is it possible that their finance committee can meet with our finance committee? And we could have some meetings together, or our council can meet with their council, and so we can have some more public pressure, or we can encourage more people to go, because a lot of people show up to our meetings and we put the pressure on them. But recognizing that we would get a double whammy in the city more so than they get in the county, those, because all of us live in the county, but those who live outside of the city limits, well, they have to deal with twice. So is there some way that we can start open talks with them? We did that in the past years where we came together on these kind of issues and we have those kind of public meetings. Is there something that we could do so we can have that?
Yeah, I mean, the most significant impact on us in terms of direct receipts would be the fire protection, making sure that that's utilized to the extent possible, that they use that first before they utilize their income tax ability. I think, again, this wasn't analyzed. This income tax wasn't analyzed. I can't imagine a lot of state legislators are thinking it's a good idea to have an increased tax rate on a number of residents and have the same or lower service level. So, the priority from the governor was property tax reform, and then income tax, snuck in at the midnight hour. So, obviously the best scenario is the legislature revisits this and fixes it so that it doesn't cause all of these issues. There's a limit to what the county can do, however, other than that EMS, because they're in the same boat. This bill has hurt them as well. And so they're going to need to figure out, the ability to fund their services going forward too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll send you my other question. It's more of an advocacy question regarding the state. Thanks.
Have more discussion in
No problem.
3 weeks.
I'm at peace.
Okay, Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Mayor, thanks for being here this evening and for reiterating some of this information that you presented earlier. You had said that we'd be in a better position if we could look to more cuts between 3 and 4 million. And then you presented, two kind of data points that we'd be looking at. But I mean, in your mind, when is that conversation? When should we be having that conversation?
Well, if, the cuts that we've proposed so far were intended to have the least amount of impacts on the city and the least amount, of negative consequences. And so the cuts that we proposed so far that are included in the 2026 budget are just that. We thought these were more of the obvious ones. They're either the ones that have been plussed up because of the federal funds, or they were things in which we can find other ways to get the same results done, but in a more efficient way. And so those were the budget cuts that we proposed. And I know there's been a lot of concern among council members by even those cuts. And so, the next cuts to get to that, those will most likely be a little more painful. They may be a little more obvious to residents. And so that's something that we're in a fine position, but we've got to know we may have to pivot one way or the other once these data points come in, as we get more information.
I guess my second question too is we've made some commitments that are multi-year moving forward, and just I guess just a word on and your thoughts on that. I mean, are those how hard or fast are those commitments? Obviously, it's something we'd want, if we've made them, that we want to follow through on them, but if if we're looking at these kinds of projections, can we be in a position to be making commitments, over 3 or 5 years down the road?
Well, that's really the challenge that this law has issued to us is there's so much uncertainty. As you saw in the ranges, we could have slightly more revenue in the projections as under current law, or we could have significantly less. And that's something that will not come fully in the picture, unfortunately, until we get closer to that 2028 budget year. And so, again, I do think it's been pretty widespread, the discontent with the legislature, especially on this income tax side. And that was never a priority of the governor to begin with. So there is hope that that piece and that uncertainty would, at the very least, be pushed off to have more time to adapt to and understand better. But from the other perspective is this is a budget. If it weren't for that great uncertainty, but that uncertainty, if we get the worst case scenario there, it's bad. I mean, all bets are off, and I don't think anybody, I can't imagine anybody wants to be responsible for that level of damage, not just in South Bend, but every city, every county across the state. And so there are some political realities that do make it seem unlikely that they're going to let such a catastrophic loss of revenue occur to every city and county in the state. But yeah, it's hard to make plans. It's hard to do much of anything when you have this hanging over your head. We've got to this is what we're charged with. We got to make the best decisions we can with the information we have, and we have to guide this I do believe when all is said and done, we will have roughly this. We're going by the guiding star that we will have roughly, plus or minus, roughly the same amount of revenue in 28 as we do today in 25. So that's what we're trying to. That's why I said for the next few years there are no new dollars. We can't come up with new program. We're going to have to find additional cuts in order to fund cost of living increases and other things and inflation costs. So there will be, we're going to continue to make and identify further cuts. But the other factor is how much of a budgeted deficit do we actually realize? And that's an important data point as well in terms of what we're looking to cut to stay sustainable. Thank you. Councilmember Nitzgotsky, a question or a comment?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation and for going over the breakdown with us. I guess when I look at the $34 million over reserve requirement and looking at the 18.6 million, which may not even come to fruition because that doesn't always mean that it's going to reach that from what I'm hearing from you is we're going to be okay on what this is, but the cuts are still necessary for us to even maintain this level of spending. That's kind of what I took away from the whole presentation and looking at all these numbers.
Yeah, that part hasn't changed. We've been working on this the last few years in terms of we need to get to a place where the revenues received in a given year are closer to the dollars going out in that given year. And so that's the goal. We've achieved that even with some of these budgeted spend downs of the reserve. And so that's something we're keeping an eye on, both how that's going, how our budget is being realized at the end of the year, and then also monitoring what is happening to our revenue, both income tax and property.
Again, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember McBride.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for your presentation. And I've had several questions that were answered over the past few weeks with you directly. So I appreciate your time on that. And I know some years ago we had tried to be diligent of being prepared from a financial cliff to a financial curve. And so I appreciate your leadership and ensuring that we still hit that mark. I know that it is tough, and just knowing that the council have to continue to work with you in the administration to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible for everyone, and that we are continuing to have as minimal impact to our residents as we can at the same time, and also trying to make sure that our employees are having a staying up and keeping up, hopefully, with inflation and the cost of living at the same time. So it is a very difficult time for us, but thank you for the working with us through this transition.
Thank you. Councilmember White.
I'm going to say very little, and if I do have any questions, Mayor, I will send those to you. I really appreciate how you have outlined the budget process, but also projecting for year 2027-28. It's not going to be easy because we're operating in a climate of uncertainty. And you had identified a couple points that we would need to evaluate, one in January, then also to look at the income is coming in, what's going to happen at the state level. So those are very key areas that we, the council, also need to be mindful of so we don't have any surprises, because we don't have the level to be comfortable because there's so many uncertainties that we do not control. And so I appreciate that. I think this is very clear. It's very helpful. And as we continue to move forward, I think we would need to have opportunities where we come back and say, okay, where we're at now, what has changed? You know, what do we need to do in terms of moving forward? So I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you. President Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, for your presentation. And we all know that this is not an easy thing to go through. Is when we have to tighten our belts and we have uncertainty in the same way. At what point would there ever be where you would have to tap into rainy day funds?
You know, that would be such a short-term fix. You could, if the big impact happened, you'd spend that all in a year or two, and that doesn't get you very far. And that would also be catastrophic for our bond rating if you touch the rainy day fund. So we won't touch I guess the point being is we will make cuts before we touch the rainy day fund.
That's a question that people want to know, where, at what point will we ever get to that point? But thank you. We'll budget our way down so we don't have to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a budget year that is a little different, and I know usually you don't come back for the next session. I would ask you to consider to return in 3 weeks when we bring the bill up again. And I anticipate there being a whole lot of discussion and questions in one-on-one meetings over the next 3 weeks. I will say, I think the cuts that were projected at the beginning, I think we need to try to get there. It's the next 2 years are going to be very hard to make those cuts. I think if we can get it done this year, I will also say, you know, we saw an extra $58 million in American Recovery Funds, tens of millions of extra grants from the Fed and the state over the last few years. So I think, you know, part of this is just there needs to be some shrinking down happen. I know all my colleagues don't agree with that, but I think it's close to getting to a balanced budget as we can get. And I understand in the past we've passed budget deficits, but we've ended up with pluses. I don't think we can gamble on what the state legislature is going to do. And I do think that there will be, even if they make changes on SB 1 in the next couple of years, it will still be cuts, right? The Republicans are going to bring tax cuts to our residents. And I think we have to be prepared for that. And if we're not, then we're being imprudent to city, to the staff, to the residents. But I look forward, well, I don't look forward, but it should be a interesting next few weeks as we continue to get to a finalized budget. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And I'll try to make it if I can. There may be some personal things that may prohibit my attendance on the 13th, but I'll do my best to schedule that. And I do want to make one thing clear is, if we, under this assumption where we grow and then we get hit in 28, that means roughly we have the same revenue.
Same revenue.
There is a path here to get, even with that scenario, we can talk more at length about what those potential paths could be, but we're still okay. I mean, this is the civil city budget. There's still other revenue sources that we have or can take advantage of. That's not something I'm looking to do, just like not looking to cut streets funding until we have to, not looking to cut public safety until we have to, and not necessarily looking at new revenue sources unless we have to. And so there are, I guess, I want to say some safety valves if we get to that point, that we would be able to do that. And thankfully, based off the stewardship of the council and the administration, we have some cushion to be able to navigate through this time of uncertainty.
Thank you. And I will say, I'm going to use the privilege and have two comments, but I haven't been I've been around in the halls of government for quite a while, not as long as Ms. White has, but the last couple of governors were, and especially when they did the tax caps, were grow your property tax base, create new revenue for yourself. And I think in South Bend, we have done that, right? We're building everywhere we can, on the east side, the west side, the south side, all over the city, kind to expand our property tax base. And I think I commend you, and that goes back multiple mayors that have, we are always building on those that served before us. And so I think we have done those things that Governor Holcomb and Governor Daniels wanted to happen in exchange for those tax cuts. So with that, we will pick this discussion up in 3 weeks, and we'll go to the public hearing at this time on 5625. Is there any members of the public in person or online who wish to speak in favor of Bill 5625, either in person or online?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you. At this time, is there any members of the public wishing to speak against Bill 5625 at this time, either in person or online? Good evening.
Good evening. Sue Castle, 4022 Kennedy Drive. I've had the privilege of working with 3 previous controllers. John Murphy was actually my mentor. He was excellent. I really liked that they were both on time and accurate. If there was a report that was supposed to be in the public drive, it was there. And those reports actually matched the DGLF. And I don't find that to be the case with this controller. I emailed ahead of time. It's under law that you provide the public before a public hearing 48 hours to review the material. That material was not available, and that's against the law. And in spite of all these great slides that we got to see, what was promised was that Form B, I think it was supposed to be filled in and presented as part of the amendment, and that didn't happen. I was disappointed when the committee said no recommendation. You should have been outraged and said that you were not for it. I feel like you don't look out for the citizens of South Bend, and certainly property taxes are a concern. So it should have been unfavorable. This is basically a blank check that you're passing. I think the citizens need to know that. Certainly with an $18.6 million deficit. I remember under Daniel Parker, it was an $11 million deficit. What's not being said that the public needs to know is we're not discussing the debt numbers, and around 13 million every year goes to service principal and interest right off the top. So if we didn't have all that debt, we wouldn't have such a tight budget. And when you spend down the cash reserves are like the savings account and you get interest on it. So if we had lower debt and we spend down those cash reserves, they actually bring us in income. So that's an issue. Something that the public needs to think about. It does affect our bond rating. And another thing I didn't see up here is how much we're giving away in abatements. The public would like to know just how much all these business people with big money are getting a tax write-off as an abatement where their taxes are going up. And then there's the TIF money. Just passed $9 million to give to Frank Perry for the Cascade 2. That means that our TIF money, $214,000 for each one of the 42 condos that TIF money went to. That TIF money could have gone to things people want. And I quite am sure that Frank Perry and his buddies could come up with the extra money. There's something called a REIT, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust. Basically, they set up a corporation and they invest and they make a profit. I don't think we need to be subsidizing condos at $214,000 each or $9 million. Well, $9 million, there's half that deficit that you're talking about. And if we didn't have such high debt, there's the rest of it. So I think there's really, it's one of those, oh, look over here, we won't show you the numbers over here. And I think the public needs to get smarter about what you're really showing them and what you're really voting on. Because as a budget enthusiast, I can tell you, I don't like the numbers. I don't like the way you're spending. And I don't like that they deleted hundreds of financial documents off the public drive. Those were public records of what the city did, the business. I want those hundreds of records back up there. So why are we deleting those records? And why are the monthly reports 3 and 4 months late and only after I press the issue? That tells me that none of you, I don't think, are reading the monthly reports. I don't know if you know how to read the monthly reports. And the annual comprehensive financial report, which is due to be on the public drive March 1st, some years didn't even get put up until after the October budget.
15 seconds.
I mean, talk about incompetence. And we're talking over $400 million. I would think for $400 million, we could get someone like the past 3 controllers that were on time and accurate and didn't delete things off the public drive that we need to see.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else, any other members of the public wishing to speak against Bill 5625?
Yes, I have Jesse Davis. Please state your name and unmute yourself. Unmute yourself and state your name and address, please.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. So I want to echo one of the things that Sue Kism said. Number one, we need to take a look at these tax abatements that we just keep throwing around like Skittles candy. Every time you give a 10-year tax abatement, you're basically eliminating the tax base instead of building on the tax base for a period of 10 years. And if you do that every single year, which seems to be the rule of thumb, then it's just a revolving door and your tax base is never going to grow. And as far as, housing and things of that nature, there's a lot of spending, man, that is being spent on wants and not needs in this city. And it's been that way for many, many years. We still have the nepotism problem. We still have the pay-to-play issues going on here. We still have some of the same contractors that the South Bend City Council ran out of South Bend back here doing work and getting our tax revenues once again. You tell me how that works. You tell me how it's allowed to happen. But guess what? It's still happening. And we're talking things that happened 10 years ago, where there were state police investigations, there were FBI investigations, there were several city employees who lost their jobs from the city. There were grand juries convened. And like I said, we had people ran out of town for double dipping. But the same people are back here doing business in our community again. How's that even possible? It's crazy. There's no accountability. There's still no transparency. As Sue Kism said, we got files being removed, public records being removed. How's that part of transparency? Let's get it together, man. You guys need to do a much better job, because when election times comes, it's going to be interesting to see the people that throw their names in the ring to take some of those seats up there on that council. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Clerk Toronto, will you please give Bill 5725 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing a direct loan to the developer of an economic development facility, low barrier emergency shelter project, and approving other matters in connection therewith.
Actually, I'd asked for 5725, but it's just been brought to my attention that bill was tabled. 5725 was tabled, and you read 5825. So we got a little
Sorry.
mixed communications there.
Chair, before you go on, I believe you need to close the public hearing on 5625.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Do we have anybody else wishing to speak on Bill 5625?
I do not see anyone additional wishing to speak under privilege of the floor.
Okay, thank you. So we'll close the public hearing officially on 5625. 5725 is tabled to October 13th. And so now, Mr. Palmer, she read 5825. Let's go ahead and give 5825 a second reading again. Thank you, Clerk Toronto.
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing a direct loan to the developer of an economic development facility, low barrier emergency shelter project, and approving other matters in connection therewith.
Thank you. This bill was heard earlier this afternoon in the Community Investment Committee and comes forward with a favorable recommendation to the Committee of the Whole. Welcome.
Good evening, council members. Caleb Bauer, Executive Director of Community Investment with offices on the 14th floor of this building. Before you today is a proposal for a forgivable loan using the Economic Development Commission statute. You may recall we have issued a handful of these forgivable loans in support of other projects. And this is a loan that utilizes tax increment financing revenues controlled by the Redevelopment Commission, but does require council authorization to proceed with this forgivable loan format. This agreement has already gone before the Redevelopment Commission and the Economic Development Commission and received their approval, and so is before you today. What we're discussing is the development of a low barrier intake center at 4022 Old Cleveland Road. The development site is shown here in red, which is the northern half of that 4022 Old Cleveland Road property, which was acquired by the South Bend Redevelopment Commission earlier this year. It is roughly 7 acres, the project site itself. And what is being proposed there is the New Day Intake Center. New Day Intake Center Incorporated, a 501c3, has committed as part of a development agreement to construct at minimum 110-bed low-barrier emergency shelter. The current design for the shelter actually has 120 beds, but the contractual obligation is 110. And timelines related to that development are that within 36 months of construction commencement, they would complete construction and be open to receive guests no later than 36 months after construction commences. The developer will separately enter into a 5-year operating agreement with the city of South Bend that describes specific operations of the shelter and specific reporting requirements back to the administration. In the 2026 budget includes as part of the homelessness initiative's funding line. It does include a portion of that operating expenses, $500,000 for 2026. And then we would seek to include that in the budget for the following 4 calendar years. The minimum investment requirement from New Day Intake Center is $10 million. And the city's investment would be $4 million coming out of the economic development areas being deployed in this forgivable loan coming from tax increment financing revenues. This is an image of the current site plan for the intake center. To the left of your screen is north, and so you can see Old Cleveland Road on the far left-hand side. In gray is shown the common space, office space, clinical area, and the food preparation area. So this is a shared building with a number of services included. And then shown in dark red are the double guest units. So those are shared units with 2 guests in each unit. And then in a pinkish red in the center of the courtyard are single guest units shown here. So this is the current site plan. The team is moving through design. They have not yet completed commercial plan review, but have been engaged with our team related to review of those plans. There are a couple of, I believe, items still being fine-tuned, but this is substantially the site plan as proposed. Some additional requirements per the agreement. For 10 years after substantial completion of the project, the developer will submit a report to the Redevelopment Commission that demonstrates compliance with a number of post-completion reporting requirements. A few of those include some operational details about individualized housing plans prepared and engagement with community partners. There are 16 total post-completion requirements, and I will share those here as part of Exhibit E of the development agreement approved by the Redevelopment Commission. So this is measurable outcomes. So that's includes number of people moved into permanent housing, broken down by housing type, length of time participants stay in the emergency shelter, percentage of those housed who do not return to homelessness in the community within 1 year, percentage of guests exiting to permanent housing within 90 days of shelter entry, which is what we call the 90-day housing benchmark, total unduplicated count of number of people served, meals provided, community partners partnering with services on site, individuals added to the coordinated entry list, which is a list that manages our broader continuum of care and helps prioritize placing individuals in available permanent supportive housing units. And then some baseline commitments: 100% of guests have access to meals, showers, laundry, mail, technology, meet with a case manager within 48 hours of entry, have a housing plan within 7 days of entry, and receive a diversion attempt. So helping connect them if there are other better resources for them, other service providers that meet the needs of that individual, diverting them to those service providers before taking them into the intake center. So really thinking of this team helping to quarterback the intake of individuals seeking shelter and getting them connected to the right place that meets their needs. That could be here, that could be other service providers in the community. The funding for this comes from 3 economic development areas. I mentioned during committee the economic development statute allows for TIF funding to be utilized outside of a specific district, provided that there are services being provided that benefit the district. And so we believe this low barrier intake center serves the broader community, the entire municipality, and therefore are asking for approval of draws from River West, River East, and the South Side TIF, the three largest economic development areas. These expenditures, as proposed, are proportionate to the size of revenues in each of those districts. With that, I will end my presentation. We do have representatives from the New Day Intake Center here, Sheila McCarthy, the Executive Director, and I'll have Sheila come up. And then I will note Tom Everett from Barnes and Thornburg is also on virtually. Tom is our outside counsel. If there are specific questions about the Economic Development Commission statute allowing these forgivable loans, Tom can answer those. But if not, I'll turn it over to Sheila.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Everett. Ms. McCarthy, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. McCarthy.
Dr. McCarthy, I apologize.
Sheila McCarthy, 3233 Lincoln Way West, New Day Intake Center. It was before this council sometime last year that you unanimously approved this site and the purchase of this site. And I'm very grateful for that after a tumultuous process of trying to find the right place for a permanent low barrier intake center in our city. The unanimous vote you gave then at the invitation of our team member, Catherine Osborne, propelled us forward in great confidence to finalize this design, to get so much of our fundraising put together. And now, today we had our groundbreaking. So we've come a long way, and we know there's still a ways to go. And we hope that you will also vote unanimously yes for this major contribution to ending chronic homelessness in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McCarthy. Council members, any preliminary questions? Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Yes, I would like to know I have a couple of questions. I would like to know, do you have, in building this intake, are we using any local unions plus local contractors? That's number one question.
So as a part of the different grant, my name is John Schomer. I'm on the board of New Day Intake Center and the executive director of Our Lady of the Road, 744 South Main Street. We, as part of a number of the grants that we receive for this, we have requirements to put everything out to bid, and we're trying to prioritize local contractors and local people working on this project. Yeah, I don't know if you have any.
As a substantial amount of our funds comes from a home ARP grant, which requires Davis-Bacon. So we'll be doing everything through that.
Okay, and my second question is, this afternoon when we did the groundbreaking, I didn't see a very well diverse group there. So what positions do you have diversity in? That's in, I guess I would want to say, good positions, or what do we got going on here? Tell me something.
Absolutely. Yes, a lot of our staff was still on site, was still working. So it was really the ones available. Some members of the administration team, some members of our board were able to be there. My experience, many of the Black folks that I know in South
Beg your
Bend.
pardon?
many African Americans at South Bend are working multiple jobs. So people that work with us are also working somewhere else. So we didn't require any of our staff to come to the groundbreaking, but invited, as I mentioned earlier this afternoon, our staff reflects that of our guests, which is half African American and half white.
What I'm gonna say is, when I sit down and you want to do an interview with me, it looks very well to have someone looking like me to talk to me, okay? Same way with the Hispanic populations. I know that the president wants to do away with DEI, but we can take care of that by us doing the right thing too, okay?
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other preliminary questions, council members? Yeah, President Lee.
Yes, I'd like to know, now that you guys have had the groundbreaking, what is the timeline for actually starting to build? And I do apologize today. This isn't my district, but I was working out of town and I could not make it back in time.
No, that's okay. So we hired a construction manager this last week. We'll now be putting out to bids for, as John mentioned, for contractors. So we should have a construction start date within the next week or two.
And what will happen to the old Knights Inn after this is built?
At the meeting that the redevelopment commission authorized the development agreement and started this forgivable loan process, the commission also approved an option to purchase the Knights Inn facility for $1 that would become active 6 months after the opening of the new facility on Old Cleveland Road. The redevelopment commission would then have 5 years to exercise that option to purchase. And it could exercise at any time after that window has passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Today was a great day at the groundbreaking. And I think we all acknowledged the long journey that it has taken to get us to this day.
Preliminary questions.
This is the final
Preliminary
let-
question.
You know, I do have a question.
Okay.
My question, I'm leading up to this. My question is, you're still showing, I guess, one clarifying question. I'm just assuming this is annual, but the operating costs that you have here are annual operating costs. Is that correct? Of 1.8 million. And then, so there's still funds to raise here. And could you say how that's going? And I mean, I think we can all acknowledge it's a difficult climate for fundraising. But how do you expect to raise those funds? How is it going? And then moving forward, like continued operating expenses. And I share this, I mean, obviously we just heard a kind of a dire, budget forecast. And so I'd like your thoughts on this.
Thank you, Councilman Morgan. We've this the spreadsheet I passed around earlier this afternoon shows our progress as of last month, that we have just 730 of thousand to raise of capital construction funds to raise for phase one. We actually have a grant in progress for that $730,000 currently. So that leaves just 100. Should we receive that? It would just leave 176,000 in operating funds. And our timeline is to raise that money by the end of the year, by December 31st, as it says there. So we started in a unique position with COVID CARES Act funds and then American Rescue Plan funds through St. Joseph County. And very grateful for those, as well as the city's contribution in using their COVID funds to provide meals and Oaklawn services on site. And this will has brought us to a place. Over these 5 years, we received a 2-year operating grant from Department of Mental Health and Addiction. So we really haven't had to turn to the broader public and ask them to contribute to this, despite the large and growing support that we've seen over these years. So we anticipate that at our first ever fundraiser event the end of next month, that we'll get a lot closer to finishing off that 176,000 of operating funds, and we'll continue to apply for foundation grants and approach individuals.
I'd just like to elaborate a little bit on what Sheila was saying. My name is Margaret File, 511 South St. Joseph Street, South Bend, and I'm president of the board of New Day and also co-chair of the fundraising committee. And we've just been very gratified to receive support of local foundations. Sheila might not mention it, but she is a fantastic grant writer in addition to everything else she's doing. A number of the foundations are local, and we anticipate that we'll be able to go after other regional and national capital as well. Carolyn Wu, the former dean of the business school at Notre Dame, has just joined our fundraising committee, and we feel a tremendous boost with Carolyn's support, as you might imagine. I think that puts us in a good position to keep building our network so that we can sustain New Day over the longer term. And I'm sobered by the budget picture for the city of South Bend. It's our goal with New Day to build a sustainable budget. One of our hopes is that we could actually invest in housing locally and use some of that revenue from housing to support New Day, for example. So we're thinking creatively. We've tapped into some pretty gifted financial consultants, and one of my hopes is to leverage the public-private partnership with our local community to say that it really benefits everyone if we care for the most vulnerable among us, no matter the budget climate, no matter the uncertainties at the national level. And we have Notre Dame in this community, and there are so many alumni who are here for very brief periods of time and through, for example, the football season, and don't really know what's going on. And I'm an alumna of Notre Dame, and I want to put some work into helping to conscientize that population about what's really going on in South Bend, so that it's not just about football games, but it's also about the people who live and work here, the people who struggle to get to campus to provide services, let's say on a game day. I mean, I talked to a couple of workers who had trouble getting home because of the traffic and the bus schedule and any number of complications. They got home very late after serving food on campus. Just some of those examples. I don't want to take up too much more time, but just to say there's a tremendous opportunity to build relational bridges here. And that's what we are focused on doing. So, you know, a lot of this is uncertain, but what is certain is our commitment. We're not ready to walk away from this, and we're going to do everything possible to leverage creative sources of funding.
Thanks so much, Dr. File. Thank you. That's reassuring.
Council members, any other questions? Seeing none at this time, we'll go to the public hearing portion on Bill 5825. Any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5825, either in person or online at this time?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Do we have anyone wishing to speak against 5825 at this time, either in person or online?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition of the bill.
Okay, thank you. We will close the public hearing, bring it back to council. Any further questions, comments? Councilmember Thomas Morgan, comment?
I just want to thank you for that explanation. I think it's really just helpful to hear your kind of plans moving forward. You know, I mean, we want to build things that we can sustain. Knowing many of you, I know that that's the case, and that you'll work hard to do that. I just think it's important for us to be able to reassure the community that we're doing sustainable development.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to send Bill 58-25 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Clerk Dorado, we have a motion for a favorable and a second. Can you please do a roll call vote for us on that?
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis, Councilmember Good Rogers,
Well needed, aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Niskoski,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 5825 will go forward with a favorable recommendation. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn from the committee of the whole and report back to the full council. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Committee of the whole is now adjourned. Try to get you guys home by 10.
Let's roll. All right. The full council is now back in session, and this is the portion of our meeting where bills are given a third reading and action is taken regarding the bills that were heard during the committee of the whole. Clerk Dorado, would you please give Bill 53-20? Yes, 5325 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 2, Article 1, Sections 2-12.1.15C and 12-1.17A to add the duty to review, certain law enforcement recordings relevant to certain complaints filed with the Community Police Review Board to the duties of the Community Police Review Board respectively.
Bill 5325 comes with a favorable recommendation.
Now entertain a motion regarding 5325.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Dorado, please call the roll.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Niskoski,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
5325 is passed. Clerk Dorado, give 54-25 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city services operations for the year 2025 of $2,237,538 from the general fund number 101, $417,462 from the Parks and Recreation Fund number 201, $257,800 from the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund number 202, $115,000 from the Studebaker Oliver Revitalization Grants Fund number 209, $25,000 from the Gift Donation Bequest Fund Number 217, $5,877 from the Central Services Fund Number 222, $92,780 from the Human Rights Federal Grants Fund Number 258, $67,234 from the Innovation Technology Fund Number 279, $2,267,453 from the Consolidated Building Department Fund Number 600, $478,000 from the Parking Garages Fund Number 601, $705,000 from the Waterworks Capital Fund Number 622, $12,100 from the Sewer Repair Insurance Fund Number 640, $310,000 from the Sewage Works Operations Fund Number 641, $927,110 from the Century Center Operations Fund Number 670, $500,000 from the Century Center Capital Fund Number 671.
All right, Counselor Warner, is there a report?
Bill comes with a favorable recommendation from the Committee of the Whole.
I will now entertain a motion.
For passage.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Clerk Terrell, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers. Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
54-25 is passed. Clerk Terrell, please give 55-25 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana for budget transfers for various departments within the City of South Bend, Indiana for the year 2025.
Councilman Warner?
25 comes with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a
Move
motion.
for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Terrell, please call the roll.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee. 9 ayes.
55-25 is passed. Clerk Terrell, please give 58-25 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing a direct loan to the developer of an economic development facility low barrier emergency shelter project and approving other matters in connection therewith.
For Warner?
5825 comes from the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Terrell, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
58-25 has been adopted. There are no resolutions. Clerk Terrell, would you please give the bills on first reading? Will you give Bill 5925 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, fixing maximum wages of Teamster employees for calendar year 2026.
I would like to entertain a motion to send the Personnel and Finance Committee for public hearing and third reading on October 13th, 2025.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Clerk Terrell, give 60-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance fixing maximum salaries and wages of appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of executive departments of the City of South Bend, Indiana for the calendar year 2026.
I will now entertain a motion to send the Personnel and Finance Committee for public hearing and third
So
reading.
move.
Second.
Go for it.
October 13th. I was trying to get the.
I've been through this as a president.
Get some water and roll.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
Motion passes. Clerk,
Had a nay.
please give 6125 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the mayor for calendar year 2026.
I'd like to entertain a motion to send a personnel
Move for
finances for the
passage.
public
Second.
hearing, third reading on October 13, 2025.
Second, move.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 62-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the Common Council members for calendar year 2026.
I would
Move
like
for
to entertain a motion to send to Personnel and Finance Committee for public hearing and third reading on October 13th.
Again, move for passage.
Second.
Sharon going for crazy down there.
I believe.
And I did second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
We all say yes.
62-25 has now,
Didn't I?
now passed. 63-25, give it a first reading.
No.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the South Bend City Clerk for calendar year 2026.
I'd like to send this to Personnel and Finance for October 13th.
So move.
So move.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, give 64-25 a first readings.
First reading on an ordinance fixing maximum salaries and wages of deputies and non-bargaining employees appointed by the city clerk of the City of South Bend, Indiana for the calendar year 2026.
And a motion to
So
send this to
moved.
Personnel and Finances, October 13th.
It's my birthday.
Been a motion and a second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
Motion passes. All right, Clerk Toronto, give 65-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 628 Western Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 2 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I would like to entertain a motion to send to the
So
South Bend
moved.
Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on October 6th, and then send to Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on October 13th.
Second.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 66-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, fixing the annual pay and monetary fringe benefits of sworn members of the South Bend Fire Department for calendar year 2026.
I would like to entertain a motion to send to the Personnel and Finance Committee for public hearing and third reading on October 13th.
Second. The motion.
So moved.
So move. Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 67-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 321 Hill Street and 319 Hill Street and 317 Hill Street and 315 Hill Street and 307 Hill Street and 523 LaSalle Avenue and 529 LaSalle Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
And a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on October 6th and send to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on October 13th.
So move.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 68-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, fixing the annual pay and monetary fringe benefits of sworn members of the South Bend Police Department for calendar year 2026.
Entertain a motion to send to Personnel and Finance Committee for public hearing and third reading on October 13th.
So moved.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Unfinished business. Anybody has any unfinished business? If not, we'll go to new business. Anybody have any new business?
Are we announcing, President Lee?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought-
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are we announcing when our tours are? Would that be appropriate right now?
Okay. I would say that that information would be forthcoming.
Okay.
In form of a press release. And once we get all the districts, tour dates and times, and then we'll be moving forward with that as well with the Food Desert Working Committee.
Okay.
Ms. White,
Thank
are
you.
we trying to do it all in one day?
You got too many districts to do it one day.
Okay.
You can do 2 a day.
Okay.
And we'll still be using, transportation with that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Mhm.
Yes.
I would just like to announce that if anyone is traveling near River Park this evening, please be careful and alert. There is a threat against the IUSB, and they're looking for an active shooter. So please be alert going in that direction tonight.
If not, we'll go to privilege of the floor. Disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech and or actions, as well as a verbal attack on any person, may result in the individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. Individuals who wish to address the council must state their name and their residential address. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes only. The maximum time limit for this portion of the meeting shall be 30 minutes. Individuals shall not be permitted to address topics which the council has heard previously on the agenda. The council president may assign a topic raised by an individual during the privilege of the floor to the appropriate council member and or request the city clerk to contact a member of city administration for review and topics assigned shall be responded to at the next council meeting. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Wise. I live at 1506 West Mackey Drive. That's on the south side of South Bend. I speak publicly for a living, and I am more nervous to talk tonight. All right, got this. I speak publicly for a living, but I'm more nervous to talk tonight because I care. I care about what we're here to talk about. Tom, you shouldn't have made me go first. We're here to talk about the Lafayette Falls subdivision addition. There has been a primary plat that has been presented and it has passed 6-1. We are not here to argue about the expansion of South Bend. We need more houses and we need more revenue. That is not something we're here to argue. But what we are here to talk about tonight, which is myself and all of these neighbors here, is that it be done responsibly, that safety and traffic be the primary concern, that it be developed in a manner which will provide to the benefit of the community. We have seen the plans, we have raised our concerns, and yet we have not been able to be heard. So why we are here tonight is because we are asking for your help. We have ideas of what needs to be done. None of us have done this. We're not exactly sure, but what we do know is our lived experience of being in the neighborhood now. And our lived experience is that our neighborhood currently has problems. We already have impingement of traffic. We already have school buses having a hard time getting kids. I drove my kids to school at 7:40 this morning and I had to duck in between cars on Slater 3 times to just simply make it down a road because many of the roads are one way. They're meant to be 2-way, but because of parking on both sides, they don't function in that manner. So our first concern is safety and traffic. Our second is we want a real way a way out of the neighborhood in case there are emergencies. There is one designated entrance and exit. The secondary is a county road, which was not intended to be a subdivision road, but it is a county road. It is small, old, and narrow, and it is way out of the way, more than a mile out of the subdivision to even get and navigate out of the neighborhood. That is not a proper exit or entrance. The third thing is we want a usable public space. The designation of that greater than 10% space, the current suggestion is they want to put a walking path around a quarry that is completely unusable so that all of that land can be counted towards the 10%. That is not development for a subdivision. That is just simply getting by on a technicality. And we are here tonight to ask for your help and to raise all of these concerns. And we would ask that any items brought up tonight be put on public record within the next, so that with public report back to the neighbors within the next 60 days, so that we can track progress and we can ensure that this development, which is needed, is done in a manner which it will benefit everyone. With me tonight, we had some neighbors that needed to leave, but I brought with me a petition from 76 neighbors that could not be here this evening. And I would like to submit that to you all. I also have with me, for those who are not familiar with Lafayette subdivision, a map to show you where the new is, the current area, which is being built with 70 houses, the 24 available lots, and the abandoned plan, which was promised to provide a proper exit and entrance, which is owned by the developer and has been for more than 20 years, yet he refuses to do anything. You also will see that you will have pictures of the roads in which they are saying are proper exits and entrances, and you will see that they are not.
Thank you very much. I'm going to assign Councilwoman Sherry Bolden Simpson to work along with the community investments and along with the neighbors to work this out.
I'm also working with them too. Mr. Chair, I've been also working with them too. I invited them to come tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else?
They had come to the zoning committee. And so first of all, they were told to come to the zoning committee. And then the zoning committee said that they have nothing to do with it. So then they're coming here because they've been given the runaround.
So, well, for the record, we are Dr. Davison and Ms. Bolden Simpson will be working with community investments, and we're trying to get it figured out. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your opportunity to come and speak to you on behalf of the citizens and your citizens and the people of Lafayette Squares. Councilwoman McBride, it's nice seeing you. My name's Tom Ferguson. I live 6810 Stewart Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46614, which is in the Lafayette Falls subdivision. A little background about me. I'm retired Indiana State Police for 32 years. I think that is something that you may want to know based on what I'm going to talk to you about, the experiences I have and what I've been through in that 32 years of law enforcement. During that 32 years of law enforcement, I had the opportunity to work with traffic and pedestrian control at the Indianapolis 500. As you well know, 300,000 people on one day, an enormous opportunity to be involved in that. The National Drags down in Indianapolis, worked at that, and other opportunities to work with traffic and civilian patrol in areas regarding public safety and the safety of the citizens. Not to mention Notre Dame University, that nice white and blue helicopter you see flying around. You probably didn't see me, but that was part of it. My regard to that is when we want to talk about the development of the subdivision is that they're going to put in 109 homes in the very south end of the subdivision. In the south end of the subdivision, the only entryway of that is on the north end off of Kern Road. So with that, you'll have to travel through the one entryway in order to get 109 residents and a multiple residents and housing development in through that area. My concern is this: it's not the development or the opportunity for individuals to have housing or to develop that housing area. My concern is safety, the number one thing. And the safety fact is this: you only have one way in and one way out. You have 109 new homes coming in on top of homes that already exist. The homes that exist, as was presented earlier, the traffic in that home was not designed for two-way traffic. It's a one-way in, one-way out, but as people park along the way, there's only one opportunity for one-way traffic. So you have to wait on traffic to get through in order to get through. Now, imagine at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, these people are trying to go to work from the south end of that subdivision out. The proposal is this: If you look at the natural disaster, what we had on March 30th with the wind shear or the hurricane that came through, that opportunity there was an opportunity for disaster for individuals that live there if it was a more severe storm. When you're talking about emergency responders, EMTs, fire department, police department, one way in. Now put that on top of a man-made disaster to which we had there earlier in that one entryway from Kern. Unfortunately, we had a situation there where we had a homicide suicide that occurred there. We had probably 15 or 20 police cars along with EMTs, along with fire trucks, shut off that main corridor. I appreciate you announcing that we have a terrible situation with the active shooter, but vision that being in that subdivision. And we have the situation where we have to get out, people have to get out, multiple people. And when we try to get out and you're trying to get out of one location, coming from the south to the north, and you're coming to Kern, there's only two ways to go on Kern. There's east and west.
30
And
seconds, sir.
30 seconds. The proposal is this. We're looking for not to stop the development, but to looking at alternatives to getting people in and out on that safety issue. Instead of that one direction in, one direction out, you have Old 31 down there on the east side of the subdivision, and you have Roosevelt Road on the far south side. So with that, that's what I present to you, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to step up and talk to you about this. And we really would, for you, I know we went through the budget thing and that, and it's not top priority, but it's top priority to us. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
You.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to us. I am Kathleen Samansky. I live at 6606 Armstrong Drive, the Lafayette subdivision. Now, a lot of what I'm going to say is repetition. It's about safety. All roads lead to Rome. All the roads in Lafayette Falls lead to one entrance. Another way to reach our subdivision is via Old Spanish Trail, which is also off Kern Road. And that leads to DeLuna Way, which leads to Armstrong Drive. These are the only exits from Lafayette Falls. We have lived there since 2006, so we have seen the expansion, okay? We were in the original part. Then they added a new area, okay? So how do these heavy equipment get there? Oh, they have to come at Armstrong Drive to get back there to do the construction. Okay, you have children. You hope they're safe. Okay, now, the homeowners have dealt with all this traffic. Now, on July 28th, the corner of Armstrong and Slater, there was an electrical fire for a home. There were, let me see, how many were there? There were like 4 fire trucks, 3 ambulances, and multiple police cars. And I thank them for their service. They were there at the corner of Slater and Armstrong. If anyone had to get out beyond there, good luck. They'd have to go down around Lutz and try to figure out how to get back onto Kern Road. This reminded me in 1989, our home was partially destroyed in an explosion. Okay? Then I'm looking at Slater with all this fire equipment. I'm thinking, oh my God, what would happen if those people beyond there, what if there was an explosion? What if there was a massive fire? Who knows what could happen? How would these people be able to all exit onto Kern Road? I would thought when in 2006, when we were living there, we had heard that there was going to be a road that would lead to the newer subdivisions down to Old 31. Now, that would be better maybe than going on to Roosevelt, because Roosevelt's a little bit further.
30 seconds, ma'am.
I would hope that the developer will consider moving a road for a second or third exit. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The short people of America. Okay, hello, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Nan McCartney. I live at 6845 Mackey Court, and I'm going to talk about what I do for a living because I'm a teacher. And so I'm going to talk to you about the kids in our neighborhood because I have a 12-year-old, and back where I live in the way back. And I did that on purpose because it's nice. And I am not against this development. What I am against is the fact that if we have an emergency, if something goes wrong, we're going to lose a kid. Okay? That's a problem for me. And it's a problem because I'm also a teacher who's watched the buses try and go through. I've watched the construction people who they have a job to do. We do too. And while they don't care, sometimes we do. And there's no easy way to get out. Okay? Once upon a time, my husband and I made the joke, we got a truck. So in the case of a what in the world situation, we were going to throw our kid in that truck, grab every person we could, and drive like a bunch of maniacs out of there. Now you're laughing at that probably on the inside, but it's not a joke to me. Okay, I lived in South Bend my whole life. I love this city and I love what you guys do for us. All I'm asking is we are a city neighborhood. Treat us the same way that you would treat any other city neighborhood and give us the tools to keep our people safe. Our children matter. Everybody's kids matter. I want every kid who's in that neighborhood to be able to go to school, not worry about what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. These construction people, again, they have a job to do, but they don't care. They have a job to do and they're going to go about their business and they don't care if they're in the way. They leave their doors open, they have things to do, and it's a hazard. And I am scared to death because we have littles and we have families with really young kids and there's not a lot of sidewalks and we tell our kids to be careful and look both ways and we do all that good parenting, okay? All I'm asking for is the same thing that you would do for any other neighborhood in South Bend. Please think about it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next person, please.
Council members, thank you for your time this evening. My name is Matthew Shane from 6819 Stewart Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46614. A lot of my neighbors here have spoken about the importance of safety and the concerns with access, emergency vehicles, and things of that nature. I want to talk a little bit more about the importance of usable public spaces because the pedestrian infrastructure in our neighborhood is currently, I would call, lacking in some areas. There are inconsistent sidewalks. There are areas where the sidewalk simply ends. There are areas where the sidewalk has gaps of 6 or 8 feet or more. And as a result, it makes it so people can't easily use the sidewalks in our neighborhood. As a result, a lot of pedestrian traffic gets diverted into the street. So you see people walking their dogs, riding their bikes. You see kids in groups on scooters and electric vehicles that are going right down main roads. And they try and stay off